Good morning, everybody. Yes, it is Wednesday morning already. It's the 11th of October, and Lebang is in the studio, and Ryan's in the studio, and I'm here to look after you. We've got some guests popping in a little bit later on, including Mum Jane, who I know people want to hear from. Whenever Jane isn't here for a couple of weeks in a row, people get upset. So we've decided to bring her back. But she's talking about something that is the number one trending topic in South Africa this week. I mean, it doesn't take much to distract us as a nation, but trust me, when we do get distracted, the person to explain to us what the hell's happening is none other than Jane Malatji.
Jane always knows what's going on. You know how when there's a huge distraction in South Africa, it's a conspiracy theory. They're trying to distract us from something. There's something bigger happening in the back.
Yeah, but it's always ridiculous. Have you noticed? It's always ridiculous, these stories that come out of here.
I love it for us.
I mean, if that's what you have been waiting for, then we've got good news for you. The week continues, and lots of news pouring in the whole time. A lot of it really terrible, really devastating, really ugly, nasty news that just makes me lose faith in humanity. So, there's so much to talk about there. But I'm really trying to. So I wrote a little thing yesterday, which I tend to do. For me, it's first of all, I don't know why. Maybe because I don't have kids of my own. Maybe because I'm the sort of person who's always been really interested in what's happening in the world. Like, even if it's something or somewhere or someone that I have no connection to, right? Especially when it's someone, obviously, or something or some place that I care about tremendously. But even if it isn't, world affairs tend to really upset me. I'm not an emotional guy. I'm normally very chilled. People start talking about like how they feel about their relationship that ended, and I'm like, ugh. But when something happens in the world, whether it's a big natural disaster, those affect me a little bit less because obviously those, you can't do anything about them. They're nobody's fault. It's very difficult to make sense of. Sometimes it's just because we live on this incredibly complicated ecology in very specific zones, by the way, where human habitation can happen. Some parts of the planet too hot, some of them are too cold, and we know we've got these complicated, very big things that happen on this planet that are way beyond our control. Only recently became, you know what I mean? Like only recently became part of our understanding, right? But when it's human on human, for better or for worse, and usually for worse, I just end up being like, it hits me right in the heart. I can't tell you. It's a funny thing. I have like an emotional reaction to it, and the events in the Middle East over this weekend, despite the fact that, again, I don't have a blood connection. I don't have a. I know some people. I mean, Greg, who works with us, he lives in Israel, right? Greg, who was our manager here at CliffCentral for the longest time, and I saw his brother on Monday. And I know he's okay, and his family are okay. But I think about him. I don't even know what to say to him, by the way. I was going to send him a message the other day, and I was like,
where do you start?
Well, yeah, and I know that he and his family, like so many people in that country at the moment, that's just, had the most horrific. By the way, this is in terms of numbers, the most horrific terror attack on Jewish people since the Holocaust, huh?
That is so scary.
In terms of numbers,
scary.
Yeah, and it's probably the biggest thing since 9/11, which is what I keep equating this to in my head, because I will never forget how I felt on 9/11.
That feeling, right? And that's the thing that doesn't go away, is you'll never forget how you felt when this disaster was happening. I mean, I saw you yesterday, Gareth, and I came back from leave on Monday, and you were like doing well. On Monday, everything was cool. And then when I looked at your face yesterday, like visibly, I could see something was wrong. And I didn't know what it was. And I was quite worried, I'll be honest. I was like, asking everyone if you're okay. So now I know that this is what it is, and
Yeah.
it's not an you have to be related to somebody to understand. If you're a person and you have ever loved another person, then you
Right.
know this is just it's not right. It doesn't feel good, regardless of which sides are fighting for what. This is just wrong. And to your point, when it's human on human, it makes it even the more worse because we are in
Yeah.
control, can stop ourselves. It's not
Yeah.
Mother Nature doing her thing. It's just human beings being so heartless and so shitty to one another and not thinking for their neighbors at all. And the fact
Well,
that we're just on the other side of the world, just kind of like,
yeah, I mean, I
it's
think
horrible.
you're very good at the and look, women are generally way better at picking up on these cues than guys are, right? So
Oh yeah, I saw right through you. I saw straight up. I'm like, is Gareth okay? Somebody like, are we cool? I had to ask everyone, but I'm glad that you're
look,
confirming that I wasn't wrong.
so I'm pretty good at just kind of getting on with it. And yesterday we had a fun show. You know, we had I think we had a lot of fun. We had Graham Watkins in. He was fun to talk to. Bakabantu and I
Mm,
we laughed a lot. There was a very interesting conversation going on Monday. Same thing you could say with Leanne and guests that we had on.
mm,
I I can carry on like so many people just put it on the back burner for a little bit, but because I spend a huge amount of time processing this stuff, and let me tell you, it is so thoroughly upsetting to go online at the moment. For example, teachers and parents in Israel are telling, well, I mean, the government's telling teachers and parents, listen, guys, rather just take TikTok and Instagram off your
mm,
kids' phones at the moment
yeah.
because they're going to see people they know and in the most, again, like you kind of have to see it because if you don't look at this stuff, you don't realize what's going on. You'll think, oh, this is just some other conflict. It's just some other thing. People will
The
equivocate.
huge.
They'll say, yeah, oh, it's just, part of this ongoing Middle East thing. And they'll try to downplay it. But I mean, you will see the most detestable and horrific stuff that makes me physically, viscerally ill.
Mm,
I- I- Babies beheaded.
yeah, no.
Yeah, I saw that
Like
video
Yeah,
as well.
no.
body bags this big. You know, forget about I have no interest in what side of the Palestine must be free. The Israel has a right to exist. You know
Mm,
where I stand on this stuff, and I've never ever changed my point of view, despite a huge amount of evidence that's come in that I've thought about and evaluated on its merits. But that is an entirely separate conversation for people who have a bit of distance from the events of this week, for people who are willing to sit down, treat each other with respect. It's a completely different universe to the universe that accepts this kind of behavior from human to human,
mm,
which can I see I like mothers screaming like, just don't hurt my child.
Yeah.
You know what? I know that people can be mean. I know that we're trying to balance interests in the world, and it's difficult to do.
mm,
But it's just anyone, any group. And remember, these videos that are being put up, by the way, are not being put up by Israel to try and like curry sympathy or play emotional games with anyone. Just remember that these videos are being put up by these Hamas guys. They want you to see them. They want you to know they did it. They want you to understand they desire credit for this behavior.
mm,
And it's also kind of spreading around the world. I mean, yesterday I saw a couple videos on TikTok of in Australia there was some anti-Semitism behavior like happening.
Anti-Semitism. Do me a favor. They had at the Sydney Opera House, one of the most famous sites in the world. You couldn't just like it's clear this is not some other place. It's not like some back street in some tiny
Yeah.
little outback Australian town. This is the Sydney Opera House. You can watch the video. Go on there now. you will see
Yeah.
a whole bunch of people, but like I'm talking hundreds, if not 1,000, if not more than 1,000 people. They're actually chanting, "Gas the Jews." Those are
Yeah.
their words.
How's
Gas
that, eh?
the Jews. Now, you know, we
Kuning.
we get rightly upset in this world about instances of obvious prejudice, oppression, racism, othering, all of that stuff. You know, you get
Mm.
people who are like, oh well, you know, they treat this sports person badly because they're black or whatever, and that upsets us, rightly so. But when you have, and remember, it's only like 70, 75 years ago that we had the most hideous genocide. And remember, it was all captured on camera because cameras had just come into play then. And this was a war that the world was involved in.
Mm.
And the one side was actively genocidal. They were trying to wipe people out because of who they were.
Sure.
And if we haven't learned in 75 years that is kind of the outer limit of just how vicious and ugly and disgusting and evil
Evil.
humans can
Yo,
be to evil.
humans. Oh,
So when you have a
like.
bunch of people who think that they're being political only
Mm-mm,
when they're
mm-mm.
standing at the Sydney Harbour Bridge going gas the Jews. I'm like, what is this is this even the world I've been in for the last 40 years? How
We
could this be happening?
We're at the bottom, Gareth. We're literally watching the book of Revelation unravel in front of us. Like, this is the pits. We are at the bottom. We are at the end. Human beings literally have so little left. I'm at the point where I just can't even be on social media in the way that I want to be. You know it's all negative. You know it's all cuck. So for your mental health, just find a way to just like
Well,
balance it, because you will sit there and consume everything. It's a rabbit hole. And you'll sit there and you'll consume it all. You'll think about it all. It'll depress you.
you know,
And that'll be your day.
and I have to also say to people, there are a couple of comments here. Listen, I don't expect everyone to be 100% understanding and sensitive to all the very complicated things that happen in that part of the world. But you don't have to be. You could have an IQ of 75, and you will still know that the stuff you're seeing with your own eyes, don't believe your lying eyes. You'll know that is pure evil. I mean, I look at some of these comments. So, someone says here, for example, TL says, "Hi Gareth, it's sad what's going on in Israel, Palestine, but I've never heard you sad about Syria. This isn't whataboutism. I'm just curious." Well, it is whataboutism. I'm going to call it what it is, TL. And we've spoken about Syria, but let's just remember that in Syria, a lot of this stuff, is because the Assads have made Syria the country that it is. They have brought conflict to Damascus and every other part of Syria. And the people of Syria have been suffering for a very long time because of all kinds of political things, including outside actors, the US, Russia, Turkey. We've had more refugees enter Europe. It's always interesting to me that like people say, the West is so wicked and evil. But where do you hear protests? In what other places of the world would they tolerate you supporting the people who behead babies? In what other part of the world but London, but New York, but Sydney? And there's a march apparently today in Johannesburg.
Right up the road.
Only in enlightened Western democracies would they even condescend to allow people to join in public protest for these things. Just try and go and start a little picket line in Kandahar for women to get an education. See how that goes for you. See how long it takes before you're gunned down by the Taliban.
There's so much going on.
Saudi Arabia. Tell me, if you go to Saudi Arabia and you say, I would like a law system that doesn't have people stoned for adultery. See how long that works for, especially women. They don't bury them up to their fucking necks and then throw stones at them. See if you can start a protest like that in Riyadh, and we'll see how long it lasts. But no, we'll go to London and 5,000 people will gather outside the Israeli embassy in London, and they will be actively chanting for genocide. And London goes, well, you know, it's liberal democracy. We've got to let people have their say. Like it's an equally moral equivalent point of view to, oh, well, you know, we've got a dispute over the land or whatever. And that people conflate these things is just, it absolutely boggles the mind. And when, TL, to go back to your comment, when did anyone say that the active inclusion of and targeting of civilians, women, children, the elderly, the kidnapping, rape, murder, ritual execution of women, children, elderly people was just a part of war? What country thinks that's okay? I don't believe that's ever been a part of any of the conflict that's been going on in Syria.
None of it is okay. None of it is the point.
Okay, look, there's just one or two things I want to just address, because otherwise we're not going to be able to move on.
Yeah.
I listen to both sides of the story, so I have twice the disinformation to deal with. There aren't two sides of this story. You just believe your eyes. Don't even, let's say you don't know any Israeli sources. Just watch the videos Hamas is sending you. Tell me who's right and wrong. You don't have to be a rocket scientist.
I was actually speaking to Greg over the weekend, just see how things are going there. And he's surprisingly calm, because if that was me, I would be freaking the hell out. I couldn't be in a country where there's just rockets incoming. I mean, he was telling me about that Iron Dome system, which
did he
is
tell
insane.
you that they're spending like 11 hours in underground bomb shelters almost every day? Did he tell you that?
Well, he said every time the siren rings, they have to go into the bomb shelter. Apparently, every house in Israel is equipped with a bomb shelter by law. And so when the siren rings, then they have to go and spend their time in there. And then he was telling me about that Iron Dome system where those missiles like counteract the ones incoming. And it actually just looks like, it's insane. It looks like fireworks once they collide in the air, but
Can I tell you something?
it's saving so many lives.
Gaza, the West Bank, Lebanon and Hezbollah in the north, Syria, Jordan, Egypt. All of these countries are very lucky that Israel is a technologically advanced modern democracy. The reason they've had to invent that, Ryan, is because they've found a way of dealing with being shelled and bombed and rocketed every day. And if one or two of those rockets, and they have occasionally, break through that Iron Dome and they land on their civilian targets, they're not targeting military places. When it does, then Israel's expected not to retaliate. And this has been the status quo for 20, 25 years.
Yes. It's just been ongoing.
And then people go, well, you know. And when Israel now, after after these terrorist attacks over the weekend, Israel decides, right, we're going to take out some targets in Gaza. You know that they've you can dispute this if you like, but the evidence is there and it's overwhelming. And you can find it online. The Israelis phone a building, especially because, you see, Hamas put most of their installations, their military installations, under hospitals and schools and mosques and old age homes and wherever else. By the way, Israel has been giving free electricity and water to Gaza since it was, not one Israeli has set foot in Gaza since the late 2000s. Okay, just another thing, in case you talk about occupation. Not one. Hamas has been elected there as the democratically elected government. People wanted Hamas as their government. Hamas has spent nothing on making Gaza livable. Nothing. But Israel phone ahead and they say, listen, we know that there is an arms cache, or that there's a military training base, or there are offices of some of your leaders under this hospital or in this hospital. Please remove the sick people from this building, because we're going to have to shell it. Hamas don't move the sick people. They keep them there because they want those sick people to be part of what they then show the world. Look at Israel blowing up, killing these sick people in the hospital.
Mm.
They don't care about us. And then when Israel does bomb the building, which they have to do, this is where the rockets are coming from. This is where, so then they blow up the building, and you could see in the footage, they hit the building, and then there's a secondary explosion. And you know what that secondary explosion is? That's the arms cache under the building, which is now the ordnance that has caught fire. So you know that there was stuff in there that's not meant to be in a hospital. Look,
It's a lot, Gareth. It's a lot, and you single-handedly won't be able to change anything. But my advice is just don't do too much social media, because it's not going to help you to see every little thing that's happening, dude. Like, just try and find a balance, but just, for your own mental health. And yesterday was like mental health day. Just try and not to get too engulfed by it. I know it was your favorite day, mental health day. It's a lot, dude. It's just too much for one person to get so soaked up in. It's just,
listen,
it's not
I
your
wish
burden.
I can I tell you something though? I'm
Mm.
very suspicious of anyone who would not feel a damn thing seeing
That
this stuff.
person must be an alien. You clearly aren't a real person if you don't feel anything. At least feel something.
Total
But
psychopath. You can't be anything else. And I don't want to. I'm sorry. This is called the Gareth Cliff Show. I do not have to move on because someone in the comments says, like Pumlani here says, 23 minutes of this. Jesus, Gareth, we get it. Your team Israel, we get it. Is that all you take from this, Pumlani? Is that what you take from this? That I'm just trying to choose a team and I'm trying to explain to you why I've chosen my team? Is that what you get here? Is this not new information to you? And if it isn't new information to you, then how come you think this is about choosing teams? This is puerile. I thought that this was a show when we started it about getting people to think and getting people to understand. It's not just pure entertainment. We've got lots of that too. I don't feel bad about our contribution to talking nonsense and having a laugh and having fun. I am not going to apologize for talking about things I really care about.
when
And
it's
if you
real,
don't,
it's real.
if anybody, I want to be, I want to be absolutely clear about this. I think we have from day one. If anybody's not having fun, you don't want to listen to this. It's making you uncomfortable. You want me to move on. You want us to talk about stupid stuff. Then 10 minutes ago, you could have found another show, because I'm not going to talk about something to make you feel better when this is what I care about. So someone who is in history school, please school us on how Israel was formed. What happened to the Palestinians?
Sure, we'll need like another 2 hours.
I'll tell you why I'm not going to do that, because the story of that part of the world goes all the way back to Abraham. Abraham, who's held in high esteem by, Muslims, Jews, Christians, by Gazans, by West Bank Palestinians, by Israelis, by everybody in that area. It goes all that way back. And you can find far more articulate and far more detailed descriptions of how that history unfolded. And you can also find heavily politicized versions from pro-Palestinian people and from Israeli people and pro-Israeli people. You can go and look that up yourself. All I will say to you is, it doesn't matter. And I say that because whatever happened to your grandparents or mine in this country 100 years ago does not matter anymore. The way you behave today will determine what your tomorrow looks like. And if you want to look at what's going on in Israel or in Palestine or in Jordan or wherever in the Middle East that you're interested in, there is an unbelievably colorful, riven, interesting, complex, and worthy history to be explored. And we've talked about some of it in our Blind History podcasts. I've talked about it on this show before. It's a part of the world that fascinates me. But when you're talking about what's happening this week, there is nothing in history that would make body bags this big and babies with heads chopped off seem like an okay thing for us to in any way contextualize as part of just history. Your behavior today is what you should be judged on. You know, when you go to court for whatever, in my case, speeding a couple of years ago, in some people's cases, a lot worse. You go to court for stupid stuff like this. Do you know what happens? They don't judge you based on your long story and, you know, what your great grandmother, well, she had it tough because she grew up with one leg, or they ask you, your behavior got you into this courtroom. Explain to us why we shouldn't or should send you to jail based on your behavior.
Mm.
To draw a line here, we can talk about the history, and I'm very interested in it. And I think the Balfour Declaration and all of that stuff is fantastic. We can talk about it, and we could talk about Golda Meir, and we could talk about the formation of the State of Israel. And we could talk about the 6-Day War, when Israel handed the entire Arab world their asses, even though they were attacked on their holiest day out of nowhere by people who were absolutely hell-bent on not just a territorial dispute, but on wiping out a whole bunch of people. Wiping them out. That was the goal. In fact, that was Hamas's goal on Saturday. It wasn't, you saw I don't know if you've seen that video of the leader of Hamas, who, by the way, is skulking away in an office in Qatar. I mean, he's not even there. He's happy to send people to their death. He's not running Palestine, not running Gaza, because there's nothing going on in Gaza that wasn't, you know, it's like it's the worst place you could possibly want to live, and Hamas has done nothing to make it better for those people. Anyway, he's sitting in Qatar, and he's celebrating. He thanks God for dead Jews, not for anything else. It's not like, oh, we gained this much territory, or, oh, you know, we managed to overcome the border fence. We managed to parachute people in, great military tactics. None of that. He's talking about, he's thankful for dead Jews. This is what you're dealing with.
Such is the time we live in.
All right. Well, Hendrik says, and this is correct, there are lots of mainstream media publications and shows in South Africa that will downplay this conflict like it's nobody's business. They'll say, it's not a big deal. You can listen to them. I invite you to. See if you can glean any useful information from every other media outlet in this country who will be whataboutism, as TD said in the comments just now. They'll be doing all the whataboutism you could possibly want. I watched an interview from 2014 yesterday where the son of Hamas founding member says that they groom kids from the age of 5. As far as I'm concerned, it's been a long time in the planning. Yes, of course it has. And the other thing that we've got to talk about at some point when the dust settles is Iran and what Iran's role in all of this is. So you want to talk about politics? Let's talk about that.
Oh, it's definitely Wednesday. Like politics is like tomorrow.
Yeah, Miss Cliff. Okay, Jason, he's enjoying this. Well, enjoying. I think he says this is interesting. Okay, so listen, I do think I can get a bit like a stuck record on some of this stuff. I don't feel bad about anything.
You're passionate, Gareth. You're passionate. You don't need to apologize. You don't need to explain yourself.
We do have to move on.
It's your show, bro. Like, do you?
We've done half an hour. Half an hour, in a week where we've got 10 hours, half an hour is not so bad. So there's plenty of other good stuff. Are you really suffering from year-end fatigue, Lebang? Is this really a thing already in October?
I think I've been suffering like for the past month already. It's like it's been happening. It's just hit me now that, okay, this is official. This is why I'm always tired.
Oh, hang on.
Ryan disappeared.
Ryan, you need to pop out?
It did kick in.
Right. Yeah, I'll be like 2
Sorry,
seconds.
sorry, Lebang. Yeah,
okay, bye, Ryan. Love you.
Because you popped in yesterday to the office and you were like, it feels like things are already slowing down for the end of the year. And that's scary to me because like we still got 2 and a bit months, right? No, Ryan's taken himself off here and I can't hear you. This is very irritating. See, I should have carried on ranting. We'll figure it out now once he's back in. Wondering when the next war is going to pop up. Well, I mean, we've got enough to choose from, haven't we? This is Living Sunny. We've got Russia, Ukraine going on at the moment.
It's like
Sorry,
always.
Lebang. You
No,
were in
no,
the
it's
middle
cool.
of something. Go on. Try again.
I
Let's
was.
try.
No, it's okay. I was just saying, I feel like there's definitely something in the air as far as this like year-end fatigue goes. It's not just me. People are generally exhausted. And I think it's also just mental exhaustion as well. Like the economy is crap. There's no eggs, there's no chicken. Like
Oh my
people are
God.
just like really feeling it. And also just like cost of living. It's not just like year-end fatigue in the sense of, oh, work is getting so hectic, or oh, I can't wait for December. Generally, it's just been a tough period for a lot of people. So I'm starting to see that definitely there's something up. There's definitely something up. It's not just me. When
Well, I
there's
mean,
this
you
many
mentioned
things happening all the time.
I thought this egg thing was stupid, right? I was like, this egg and chicken thing is nonsense. But it's
Yeah.
a big story for most people. Like I think it was Kanthan or Pumi who said this on last week's Burning Platform, and it's worth
Mhm.
discussing. Is that for most people this is where they get their protein from? Like there's
Yes.
and this is the cheapest
100%.
protein available to people, and you need protein for a healthy diet. And now the price
Mm.
of eggs has gone sky high, and they say it's because this bird flu.
Mhm. It's
But
pretty lit.
Yeah.
we never did we have supply crises like these before COVID came along? Just saying. I'm not trying to stoke up a new conspiracy theory, but
New conspiracy.
ever since then, it's like there's some shortage of something all the time.
Yeah, no, there's definitely, yeah, it's something's
Something.
happening. And also like with this whole Dr. Matthews thing, of which
Ah,
Jane will come and tell us about later, it has to
Okay.
be linked. It has to be linked to the egg shortage and to the bird flu. They're distracting us. Something's happening. And Dr. Matthews is just a distraction. I'm sure of it. I know it. That has to be the thing. Because like, what is the reason?
That
Well,
story is just so ridiculous.
I don't know a thing about this Dr. Matthews story, and I heard everybody in the office going on about it yesterday. I saw Ryan showed me it's like the #1 trending topic in South Africa. Again, like, I do believe we're actually a very silly country. I love South Africa. I will stand up for South Africa. There are things going on in the world that are just so important, and we are caught up in
Hey.
this fake Dr. Matthews scandal. We got to talk about why, and we'll get into it. But I do want Jane to explain it to us because she seems like the best positioned person to make sense of this crazy story for us.
She knows what's up. In
Remember-
other news, Gareth.
This is a nice point by Congo Chris. Remember to be kind to people in the service industry this December. If you're tired, just remember that they're working so you can relax. They give up their time with their family so you can spend time with yours. I know we're still a way off of like Christmas and all that stuff, but I often think of people who have to work around that time of year. And I think that they are just incredible for the things that they do. Propaganda says, egg, get on.
Love it.
That's what we've got at the moment. Protein's got nothing to do with my concern, says Sanele. I just love eggs. I could eat them anytime. Breakfast, brunch, lunch, supper. Eggs and eggs and eggs and eggs. That's what Sanele has for breakfast.
I never realized people use so many eggs. Like when we had Ben in the studio on Friday, and he was saying what a disaster his life has become without eggs. I didn't realize it was such a big thing. I'm not a big egg consumer myself, but for him, he's having to go through the back door, Simpiwe's uncle,
To get eggs.
Yeah.
Simpiwe is she says to Ben, like it's almost like a drug deal going on. She's like, Ben, I can sort you offline. Yeah, let's take this discussion offline. I've got an uncle who can organize eggs. And the uncle apparently is very competitively priced. And Ben's like, yeah, I seriously could do it. So we're going to see an egg deal going down on Friday.
She won't give the number,
So
But
is she the middleman?
She's the middleman. She'll
Oh,
orchestrate
so she
the
gets
deal.
her cut. I
She
like
gets
She
the
it.
wants
cuts
to
out the
cut,
deal.
yeah. She was in this, she's a businesswoman. She's not doing
She
things out of
is.
character. Okay, so I know Ryan has to reset some stuff in the studio quickly, so I'm just going to tell you some news while Lebang and Ryan sort that stuff out over there. I don't know what you're doing, but get your shit together on that side. All right. Apparently, Mogoeng, you know, the Chief Justice Mogoeng. He used to be our Chief Justice. He's now retired, and I think he's just got a lot of time in his hands. But someone interviewed him, and he said he will be president of South Africa one day. And he says it'll happen without him even standing for the position. He's not going to contest. He will just miraculously. He's a very religious man. It was one of the things that I was concerned about. You know, you have someone who's too much of a fanatic or a zealot who's in charge of the country's law. Law is a very objective, well, it should be a very objective thing. It really concerned me in the beginning about Mogoeng. He would say a lot of things that were obviously, you know, he's got his spiritualities, religiosity, and it's a big part of who he is. But we do kind of owe him a debt of gratitude for, despite the fact that he was put into the position of Chief Justice by President Jacob Zuma, he kept the judiciary, in as much as it was possible, I suppose, independent of the executive, and stood up to the president and the executive as Chief Justice. He was a brave, unexpectedly, because he came out of left field, and a lot of people who were on his side from the beginning said, "Oh, we told you he was a good guy." And Mogoeng is, I mean, I think he leaves a good legacy as Chief Justice, right? So he's got nothing to be embarrassed about or ashamed there. He said some things in the beginning that were kind of a bit weird, but he redeemed himself, is what I'm getting at. And now he's got delusions of like being elected president without actually being elected. He told the church audience in Bloemfontein on Friday night that God has told him 3 times that he intends to make him president. So, you know what? Go for it, Mogoeng. Like, if you can get through, if there's a way. It doesn't sound very democratic if he's not going to stand for election. If he's just it's just miraculously going to happen. But let's see. South Africa's solar surge is starting to hurt Eskom. Apparently, our near 4-fold increase in rooftop solar panel generation capacity in this year has reduced revenue. Ha! Yes. It's starting to affect Eskom. People are putting in solar to such a degree that Eskom are not making any of the money that they hoped they'd be making out of us. Well, guess what, guys? Bad things happen because you deserve them. And Eskom is the worst run business in the universe, and they deserve this. Anybody who's put in solar, you need to know that the surge in installation of solar panels on houses and businesses, a result of recurrent power outages, has cut Eskom Holdings sales by 2.3%. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot, but if you break it down by municipalities, it has cost the Buffalo City Metropolitan Municipality, where more than 700,000 people live, it has cost them 350 million rand in revenue. Pravin Gordhan, who's the Public Enterprises Minister, said in response to a parliamentary question on Thursday that Eskom is hurting because people are moving off of Eskom. Well, what did you think would happen, Pravin?
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Good.
I do not feel bad. Good.
You both sound much better now. Thank you, Ryan.
Oh, we're back.
I don't know what was going on here. It's the complete reset.
So apparently, Ryan had his own Lebang moment where, and Lebang, you know, this is where you get to say it's not just you, because we tease you a lot about being scammed, but you got scammed this week.
Yeah, well, it's actually been not just this week. It's been a little bit of a lingering scam, because it wasn't a complete scam in the beginning, but I feel like it's a scam now.
You got scammed, bro. There's no half scam.
It's official.
Mini scam. Diluted scam. A scam is a scam is a scam. Yeah. Welcome to the club.
Lebang is like, come here. I
know.
Yeah, rest on my chest.
I knew. I was like, this is why I said, like, as soon as it is happening to me, I was like, oh man, this is my Lebang story.
Yes. Yeah, it happens to any of us.
Nah.
What happened? What
So
happened, Ryan?
I wanted to get a new PlayStation controller because I got some friends who are playing again, and
Mhm.
my one is broken. But there's apparently a PS4 controller shortage around here. So I thought, let me go buy one secondhand. I'm not the biggest fan of buying secondhand, but I thought I'll be careful, you know, me. So I go on I go on Marketplace and I go find the
I
controller
love how
there.
much Lebang, this is mean because when you were going through your shit, we didn't laugh at you.
You guys laughed at me for weeks. For weeks, Gareth. You guys are like, oh, Lebang, it's so stupid. How could you let that happen? Blah, 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 blah. Anytime the word scam came up in a news story, it was always, well, there's another Lebang moment. So
No,
I'm
we
enjoying
did
this.
we did use you as our chief victim of scamming, but I don't think I ever called you stupid. And I'm pretty sure
Yeah, it's true.
I'm pretty sure I was sympathetic to you, but not
No.
so when it's Ryan.
No one was sympathetic to
Enjoying
me. I was being roasted.
No, it's only because you kept going back. It was like an
Yeah,
addiction.
back to the crime scene.
So anyway, I meet this guy up. You know, I check the controller, but I wanted like this other PS4 controller that they have out there. It's a little bit more of a fancy one, but because it was secondhand, it was cheap. I was like, cool. I met him up. He said, look, it's not in the condition he advertised it in, but I was like, okay, it still looked okay. I
But
paid.
did you actually see the physical product
No,
in
I
your
did.
hand?
I
You
did.
held it.
So
Okay.
I met him at a mall in the south. I can't remember which one.
Mm.
It starts with a K. I can't remember. But I met him there. I looked at the thing. I was like, cool. He's like, look, if you have any issues, just give me a call, and you know you can take your money back, whatever. Cool. So I take the thing home. I plug it in. I'm like, dope. But the thing is, it seems on older PS4 controllers, if they have been used a little bit, the joysticks don't exactly stay in place the same. So it kind of is moving in the game without me moving it. So I call him up and I'm like, hey man, this controller's not what I was looking for.
Refund.
Do you mind if we just, do that thing you said? And he's like, yeah, no problem. We'll meet tomorrow. So tomorrow comes and I'm like, cool. I text him. I'm like, hey man, what time would suit you? Everything will do the same place.
Oh, shame, Ryan.
And then I don't see him online, right? Then like a few days go by, but on his WhatsApp, it still says last seen on the Saturday. Like,
are you sure he hasn't blocked you at this stage? Because once
No,
the
no,
sale
no.
is made, you
No.
get blocked immediately.
I wasn't blocked. He was like, at the time he was texting me, but then he hadn't been online for a few days. So I'm like, okay, now I'm texting him and still nothing's happening. So then eventually, like a week later, I see he's online again. So I text him, I'm like, hey man, maybe your phone was stolen. Like, is everything okay? He's like, I was hijacked, bro.
Ah.
He's like, he says they dropped my ass off in Tembisa. And I've been trying to find my way back. Like,
Oh,
cap.
dude.
But the thing is, the guy was so not. I kind of, well, I was still
They
kind of
always,
believe it.
they
But,
always are, right, Lebang? They always very nice. This is what they
well,
do.
why
They're
wouldn't
good
they
at this.
be, right?
They're
So
always shiny and they
what
say
I'm
all the right
interested-
things.
what I'm interested in is, Lebang, at what point did you go, oh, that's a warning sign in the story?
Yeah.
When he said, if anything is wrong, just call me. I'll be available.
Oh, he
if
also
you're
said-
overly like availing yourself to a thing that you know is already broken, you have no intentions of fulfilling that refund. You're almost just cushioning it up and making yourself seem reliable. Like, if anything goes wrong, there's a warranty, there's a guarantee. Block immediately. After that, that person has disappeared. I'm just gonna ask the question: did you get your money back, Ryan? Did you meet up?
No, not as yet, because then he said, if you don't mind, I was just hijacked. They took everything. I'm gonna get paid at the end of the month. And now I saw it coming. And he's like, but then he texted me at the end of the month and he's like, I've got your money, we can meet up. And it's been like 2 weeks since then. So now I'm like,
it's over.
I've just given up. I'm like, okay, cool. I got scammed.
It's over.
I'll take it.
It's over. Just go back to Facebook Market and like rate him. You know how you can like rate people's like experiences? Just give him a 0 and then leave a review and say, this is what happened with this person, so that you warn other buyers.
Yeah, well,
that's
that's exactly what Tabo said here.
What was your total like sunken cost in this thing?
I'd say $800.
Oof. bro.
But it's still us. It's
It's like
still
2 trays of
you just
eggs,
still feel
man.
stupid. Like it's so annoying.
2 trays of eggs in this day and age.
Trays of eggs.
Eesh. All right.
Welcome,
Ryan,
welcome, Ryan.
800
Yeah.
rand of school fees.
I see we have someone here in the comments who fixes controllers. Now I feel
Sean.
even more stupid. So
Don't
Don't
believe
feel
them.
stupid. I mean,
don't believe it.
it happens to. It can happen to anyone.
Yeah. See, I gotta get on that.
Now you've got a plug.
Yes.
You'll be fine.
Thanks,
But that's
Sean.
actually like there's people out there getting scammed like millions, dog. Like hundreds of thousands. People's credit
Yeah.
cards are just getting
And
wiped.
the worst part is he even said, he's like, I just came from work. You can see where I work. Here's the company. But
yeah, no, you got scammed.
It is
a little
just,
bit.
writes it off. My sister got scammed once. Like she literally bought a phone, and what they did was they had just the shell,
Oof.
but on the inside they put a screen that just actually replayed the Apple booting logo.
Ooh.
And she paid like I think $7,000 for it.
Ooh, that's filthy.
I was like,
business.
that's a terrible scam.
That's filthy business. Damn.
So
I think you should be extra careful of like electronics technology. I always think that's probably because
I don't want to put
if you
I don't want to put on the South, but
if you buy the Fong Kong iPad or the Fong Kong phone, or you just know it's probably going to give you nonsense. Like you really in terms of electronics and technology, you really get what you pay for.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
There's things that you should just stay away from trying to purchase, particularly on Facebook Market. Facebook Market's good for things like furniture. It's good for things like one item pieces, like if you're into antiques or if you're into specific things that you can only get at that place. But if it's like a phone or a laptop or even like kettles, just don't do it. Kettles, washing machines, do not do it. Rather get it firsthand.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Or lay by.
the woman knows by experience. She is here to share her experience with
I
you
love the
to
way
save
she's
you.
doing like
I'm here all week. I am here all week. Hit me up if you have any questions. In fact, I've done a whole podcast on this very subject.
In fact,
like how to stay away from scams, the red flags. It's actually so embarrassing.
Lebang is like the Neil deGrasse Tyson of scams.
I am, and I shouldn't be that proud.
I don't know whether Jane's in or not, because we've got to talk about this Dr. Matthew thing, but I'm going to wait for her. Can we talk about this incredible venue that they've put in?
Yeah,
in Las Vegas.
I think Jane's stuck in traffic, but maybe she'll overlap in the second hour. We'll see.
Let's talk about this venue that they've built in Vegas, and I saw U2 opened it. It was the first night that they had a performance in there. I mean, I've seen some of the visuals on social media and all the rest of it. It does look unbelievable.
It's unreal, right?
If you're in an events business, of some kind, and you've put on shows and things, like I get that there are some very good events people in South Africa. I know some of them. They do amazing stuff. The lighting, the sound, the visuals, the experiential nature of it. But let me tell you, this place just seems to be by far and away the most mind-bending venue you could be in. And this is what it looked like when they were still building it. It's got screens all the way around it. You can do the outside. Yeah, you can do the outside and the inside. Do you know what the capacity is there, Ryan?
So here's some of the figures. It's 366 feet tall and 516 feet wide, and it's the world's largest spherical structure, and the first and only kind on the planet, basically. And it says here, it's a 20,000 seat venue.
Sheesh.
And it was originally budgeted at 1.2 billion, but I think it's now expected to be 2.2 billion and counting. But it's the most immersive experience you can ever find. And even the sound of it, like they've got directional speakers so that every single person in the venue, no matter where you are, like if you're in the front, the back, in the middle, they have speakers coming at you from all angles. It's beautiful. I mean, this is even the outside. Like this is what it looks like on the outside.
So you did sound engineering. You know how difficult it is to create a good sound experience in a round building. It's very difficult because the sound bounces off everything, right?
Yeah. And I mean, also you don't want to blast people's ears off to the
Sure.
point where they're deaf to try and help the people at the back. Like, you know, there's like different sound spots. I forget there's like acoustical sweet spots, I guess, in all the different arenas. Like you can get the blueprints and see, but this one actually looks insane. I have a video here because U2 actually was the first band to actually kick it off. Now
Mhm.
I had to take the sound out because we have
Yeah.
copyright things on here, but just so you can have a look.
Yeah, let's see it. Just,
Never mind, the sound is in.
look at that. Wow. I mean, that is absolutely insane. That's insane. Look at that. They make it look like anything is happening in there. Okay.
Beautiful, right?
Yeah, just stop it. Otherwise, it's. Would you like to go there,
Hectic.
Lebang? Would you like to see that?
I mean, like it's a little bit of a mind fuck. It's like
Yeah.
it's giving
Yeah.
like the Matrix. I'd definitely love to be in there, but I'd be like borderline scared. Like, you know, when you go to these festivals, people like spike your drinks and stuff. Next thing you're just high and you're just like looking around and it's like, whoa, it does look incredible. It really looks insane though. Like it's dope. It's dope. Very cool.
I would love to know how
Carl
much they
says-
charge per ticket there. Can you imagine?
Yo.
Carl says, I mean, hilariously, it's fucking U2 forcing themselves into people's ear again. Well, I remember they did this when they launched the iPod all those years ago, and then they did it again when Apple Music launched. They had U2
iPod.
was whether you like it or not, their new album was like automatically loaded on everyone's devices. Ugh.
That's so invasive. What the
No.
hell?
That's
Who
what
did these
happens when
people-
you're friends with Steve Jobs.
Those guys from U2 must have some connection at Apple because they can't, and now at this the Sphere, as it's called.
How did they
Awesome,
get
it's
into all
awesome.
these launches? Didn't they also do? I don't know if it was the first one, but they did that 360 concert here in South Africa as well. I
Mm.
know because some of my friends won't stop talking about it. They said it was just awesome the way they could just play around. I didn't get to see that one though.
No, you would have been like 5.
Yeah, 5 or 6.
Oh, really? Was it that long ago?
No, it's long ago. Yeah, no, it's a while ago. It was part of their, I think it was Zootopia or whatever. I didn't go and see. Listen, I like some of U2's songs, but there were friends of mine at university who were like obsessed with U2, and I never really got it. Like I think there are a couple of songs. They're talented guys.
Yeah, they are, but
It's not my. I wouldn't
they're
walk
not like
over.
the Backstreet Boys. I mean, you know.
Well, I wouldn't walk over Backstreet Boys. I wouldn't walk over broken glass to get to see the U2 concert. There are a lot of people who love them. So
Yeah.
By the way, this is kind of your dream, Lebang.
What is my dream?
NSYNC is back together now. We have
Oh,
Backstreet
you're joking.
Boys. We
Is
have
it?
Westlife touring. I mean, all the boy
NSYNC are
bands.
back
Are,
together?
What,
Justin's back.
Are they like a group again?
Yes.
Really?
You didn't see this? They're touring America right now.
That's crazy. Are they
No.
making new music or are they touring America with all their old stuff?
Well, I actually don't know. I haven't actually
Why
looked
would they
up
be
on
back
it.
together? They like
No, I saw everyone's saying like, you know,
He's not
Justin's
lying.
career's gone dry.
The headline is NSYNC reunites to release first song in 2 decades.
hectic.
And I
That's
know how much
crazy.
you love boy bands.
No, I just love bands from that era. Like if Spice Girls can come back together, I was recently watching that David Beckham documentary. Oh my gosh, it's so good. But what's really good is that like they give you like an insight onto like the Spice Girls during that era, obviously from Posh Spice's perspective. I'm like, if the Spice Girls can reunite, that's
Can
all
I
I
tell
want.
you, it's gonna happen because
Is that what you want?
everybody's cashing in now. Can you imagine
Yes,
a tour where
that's
there's
what I
like
want, Gareth.
NSYNC, Backstreet Boys? Now Westlife's gonna be in 3 weeks.
That's what you want.
That's what I want. That's what
Spice-
I want. Gareth, make it happen.
Wait,
Spice
Gareth-
Girls in
Gareth,
2023.
Are you going to the
tell me
Westlife
what
concert?
I really, really want.
Tell me what you want. What you really want. I wanna really want to sing. It's like, like, just make it happen, Gareth. I know you know the right people. You know the people that own that dome sphere. Like, let's just make it a thing.
Hey, listen. NSYNC is going to perform at the halftime show for the Super Bowl.
No.
says Jason.
No,
No,
Usher's
Usher's
performing
going to
there.
do
Nice
that.
try, Jason.
Also, I don't know why they got Usher. Usher's so
Right,
like
here's a
2000s.
picture.
What?
This is what NSYNC looks like now. All right, so
Oh, they're so
Justin's in the middle. You could tell Justin Timberlake still looks the same. Still looks good. We've kind of seen. No, hold on. Let me just give you a breakdown. Of this picture. Okay? So there's Justin Timberlake in the middle. He still looks the same. He's we've followed Justin's career over the years, so we know what Justin looks like.
Sure.
And then on Justin's right, on his right, it looks like U2's Bono.
Honestly.
All right.
Like a triple chin.
I'm just waiting for those white suits to come out.
Oh my
you know.
gosh. No, they
Hang
didn't
on.
age well, Sham.
Hang on a second. This is amazing. So let me just talk about this because this is pretty wild. I don't know. I remember there's one of these guys is called like Joey Fat One or Joey Fatoni or something like that. I don't remember who. But okay, so the one guy looks, I swear to God, and this is not mean. I looked at this picture and immediately thought the one guy's Bono.
I know which one you're talking about.
JC Chasez or Chasez.
One of them. Yeah. That's him. I think that's him. Okay, so that's the Bono looking. Then on the extreme right is a guy who looks like a Pretoria Greek shop owner. Who won't give you, he won't give you change, he'll give you chappies. He's like, no change, only chappies.
Yeah.
He looks like, I've seen guys like this running like corner cafes in South Africa. He looks, and that's no insult to the corner cafe guys. It's just this guy.
Or Pretoria.
Then there's the other dude who he like came out as gay like while they were still all together.
Lance Bass.
Lance Bass.
Yeah. I remember Lance.
He's now got blue hair and he kind of looks the same, but otherwise he's got blue hair.
I think him and Justin probably aged like the best.
And the other dude, the last one, he looks like a club owner.
Oh, Shem. That suit.
And he's got this gray beard. He's a mix between a club owner and Gandalf from Lord of the Rings.
Oh no.
I can't believe you guys are just finding this out. Like, this has been news.
This is hilarious. I never thought I'd be alive to see this.
No, everyone thinks Justin's career has gone like they said. How do you know like someone's career has gone sideways?
I'll tell you, if they do Dancing with the Stars or if they do like a reunion thing like this, it's only two options. It is literally only two options.
Justin left and they still make jokes about it because they've been on a couple interviews now.
Like, right. Those are the signs. Those are signs. But also, what you've got to remember is that there is this enormous nostalgia in the world right now for all of the old stuff that we had in the 90s coming back. Sure. That's what people want. People
definitely. As a business person or as an agent for any of these artists, it would be such a dumb thing to not sit and say, how do I get the gang all back together and just put them on tour so we can make a quick $15 million and then be out again. We're not saying,
how much,
hey guys, get out of your lives and come back into studio. Just one tour, world tour. We'll say world tour, but we won't go to Africa.
No.
And just make a fortune and then just like capitalize on people's, guys, nostalgia.
They can't say world tour because Robbie Williams couldn't say sold out because of Durban.
No, but hang on. You can imagine how those other guys who are not Justin, they are like, oh, thank God Justin agreed to do this.
We got the call.
It's payday.
It's our first payday in like 20 years. I do think it's funny. Sive says they look like the dads who will be dropping off their daughters to watch NSYNC.
No, definitely. I wonder if they still have the moves though. Like, do they still got it? Because with with art, it's like riding a bicycle. You have to you do it once and you can still do it, but you have to practice. And that's why Usher's doing Super Bowl, because he just did Las Vegas for like 6 years. So he's been practicing. He's still hot. But do they still got it?
Old, though.
Half of these guys haven't performed for like 20 years. No, that's where I'm curious.
Now they can start doing those like videos and all that kind of stuff. Cameo and all that.
Yeah.
Because now they got Justin back, and they make it look like Justin's just re-entering, like, he's back, but now it is.
I know Lebang and Ryan are so excited about NSYNC's reunion that we've been talking. It's 3 minutes after we got to take a break. When we come back, we'll get to Mum Jane and the Matthew story, and then we'll also talk to Rianette Leibowitz, who we haven't spoken to in ages. Rianette used to host a show on CliffCentral. We often talk to her about like cybersecurity and about kids online. And I think, Lebang, you'll probably find this very interesting too. She'll be our guest next. Let me take a quick break here in the meantime. All right, we'll be back in just a minute. Cool, don't go anywhere.
With those cable breaks, the biggest problem was effectively how those cables had been put into the sea in the first place. So, for example, Sat3, you've got 2002, I think the knowledge there in terms of laying cables was rather slim. So let's be fair on it. We give the guys kudos where we can, right? So they laid it about 400 kilometers offshore from Africa. Along the coast there. And Wax kind of followed suit very similarly that way. It's only been later that we found out that the Congo River has got quite a long, or should I say, a very strong flow. And what happens is when there's a lot of rain, the flow, from the river comes into the sea, and it actually pushes the rocks and boulders on the, seashore.
No ways.
Yeah, and those boulders actually effectively snag the cable and they break the cable.
And so what you're saying is 400 kilometers is not far enough or not deep enough.
It wasn't far enough, yeah. So like I said, the guys didn't know that then. Now we do. So for example, with Equiano, we've laid Equiano about 1,000 kilometers, 1,200 kilometers offshore. So it doesn't get affected so much from that, push from the water effectively.
Thanks for listening to Unbundled, brought to you by Catalytic, a series that aims to demystify technology so that you can make smarter decisions for your business. Remember that you can listen to all of the episodes on the CliffCentral app or website, and for added convenience, you can subscribe on Apple, Spotify, Google, or wherever you listen. And if you're looking for help with communications tools in your business, please visit catalytic.co.za.
This week on the Auto Trader podcast.
We always speak about the true cost of an EV. And I think a lot of people don't understand what that is. And this paper was it was a study that was done in Australia, which was looking at which countries have the cheapest running costs of an electric vehicle. And I found it quite interesting to see where South Africa landed there.
Well, a cost of our electricity in relation to petrol, you can see on that list, is massive. The cost of electricity is a lot lower. That gap will narrow. So chances are we will get higher electricity costs in the future. Now, also bear in mind that this study was calculated based on a situation where our petrol prices are very, very high at the moment. Catch us every Monday at 9 a.m. on YouTube and on autotrader.co.za.
Can you take a photo of my video?
All right. Let's get cracking. We have quite a lot to talk about this morning. Oh, by the way, I got an interesting email from somebody just a little while ago. Remember we were talking about the SABC's piano theft. We were talking about how that piano was stolen from the SABC. It was just rolled out of the doors. Came up during one of the shows. I think it was last week or the week before. So I got this email from someone who's anonymous. They said, "Hi team, I was listening to the show and the topic of the SABC came up. Just so you know, Claudio Beneng has a grand piano in his home. He stole one from the SABC. The man has a grand piano in his very beautiful home. So
Dum.
he may have some explaining to do."
That is ironic. Number one, how does a piano just go missing? Number two, what do you think Cloudy's doing with the piano in his house? Like, is it just like decoration? Like, does he play it every week when he has guests over for dinner? Do they all, hover around it and sing songs as he plays? I have my doubts.
It's bizarre. So let us welcome Rianette Leibowitz. We haven't seen Rianette in a while on this show. So Rianette, it's nice to see you again. How are you?
I'm excellent. Thanks, Gareth. It feels like I'm back home. It's fantastic.
Well,
How are you?
You are. So Rianette used to host a show on CliffCentral called Cyber Health. This was years ago, but right at the beginning of CliffCentral. And she's done an incredible amount of work since then. Just so that you know, it's Cybersecurity Awareness Month this month. and we thought we'd get someone who knows this stuff, but who's also a friend of ours, in to talk about it. She's focused on cyber wellness and online safety since 2014. So she's really been ahead of the time, ahead of the game on this. And she's been on a mission to save lives by taking a very holistic view of our digital habits, something which I wish I could do more effectively. And maybe we got some tips from Rianette later on. But she founded Save TNet, which is SAVETNET, cyber safety. And she's going to tell us a little bit about her business. But she's also spoken to global audiences, including TEDx, Global Leadership Summit, Campus Party International, Meta's Youth Summit. She's been featured in an international documentary called Public Figure, and so much more. You can find more about Rianette by going to rianette.com. That's RIANETTE.com. And we'll put up all the socials in just a moment. So we'll get to that. Rianette, I'm going to just quickly, if you don't mind, just shift the attention to Mum Jane Malatji, who's sitting in the studio. How are you, Mum Jane?
I'm good, and you, Babaji?
Good. I'm sorry. I heard you were stuck in some traffic.
I was like, you know what? I was on my way, and the taxi was stuck because of the petrol.
Oh my gosh!
I'm telling you.
Ugh.
Yeah.
They ran out of petrol?
They ran out of petrol, Babaji.
And then did all of you in the taxi have to help pay?
No, because no, they have to wait for the taxi that they coming through, so that they have to ask for one to get into the taxi.
Yo, so much work. So you must just sit there and wait.
Yeah.
Yes, that's so sucky.
Until the taxi comes short with one person, they have to squeeze you in.
Yo, Nahan.
Oh,
no.
Mm.
Mum Jane, there's a very special reason I brought you in this morning, and
Yes.
we were going to talk to Rianette now, so I hope she doesn't mind and Lebang doesn't mind. But I know you are the person who told me about this Dr. Matthew, but he's not a doctor; he's a fake doctor. And this has been the Rianette, you'll probably know about this too. It's been the number one trending subject in South Africa on the internet for the last 3 days. This fake Dr. Matthew. So you've been watching it all unfold, Jane. You know about this guy. You know who he is. You do a pretty good impersonation of him. But tell me about this Dr. Matthew.
You know, I know Dr. Matthew from TikTok. He's somebody who was, when he started to do the TikTok, he was talking about the ex-boyfriend who infected him with HIV.
Jeez.
It's
Oh,
where I
wow.
know him, where he started to trend. So I started to follow him. Jiggy selling the tablets for Hlasala Mafuta, when you're having that big tummy. A lot of people now, they're complaining because they bought those tablets. And the barcode on the tablets, they says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm telling you.
Oh, you're joking.
I'm telling you, Babaji. So now my question is, what about those people who bought the tablets because they thought they're going to lose weight? And now maybe there's panado in those tablets.
Or
Listen,
sugar or whatever.
or sugar, whatever, because we trusted him. Hi, I'm Dr. Matthew. Just imagine. And we trusted him. I remember the first time when you do the video, he was like, "Oh, I took my ex to the courts because he infected me with HIV." So people, they ask him, "How do you know that he's the one who infected you?" He was like, "Oh, I know because before I dated him, I went to do some tests. You understand? And guess what? I won the courts." That's
First of all, Lebang, have you seen Dr. Matthew online? Have you?
Sadly, I have.
Is that a good impersonation?
I think Jane has done a pretty solid job of impersonating Dr. Matthews, yes. But long story short, he's just a kid who found a way to trend online and just found the easiest way to scam everybody. Pretend I'm a doctor, pretend I've got the qualifications, come online and just talk shit. And he's just been talking crap the whole time. Everybody's just been believing everything he's had to say, until such a time where people are now questioning his credibility. Like, where did you say you studied again? And that's where things are getting a bit suspicious, because now he can't necessarily backtrack where he studied. And he's like, I skipped grade 4, I skipped grade 7, I didn't matriculate.
Yeah.
So people started asking, basically questioning it, until such a time where the University of Witwatersrand released a statement saying, we don't recognize this man. He doesn't show up on our records. Like, they are removing themselves from all of this mess. So we've just all been scammed by this young boy.
So my question is how, because Helen Joseph Watwat Hospital, they hired him. How they hired him without to check the records of Dr. Matthew. That's the big hospital. We don't talk about the clinic, Babaji.
Right, so apparently, like Wits University, where he claims he studied medicine, they said they've never heard of him.
Yeah.
They've asked a whole bunch of people who studied medicine at the same time as him. They've never heard of him.
Nope.
I mean, there's classic like con artist stuff,
That's
right?
all. That's literally all. Yeah.
He's just so Jane. He's just a liar. But how many people have fallen for his lies?
But we must understand, in South Africa, he's not the only one. He's not the only one who's lying. There's lots of doctors who are lying.
Yeah.
I remember last year in Johannesburg, there's a place at the, what you call, Bree Street. There's a lot of doctors. There's a building where's the foreigner doctors there. It was the rumors that all those doctors, they don't have qualification. Just imagine you are a doctor, but you don't have a matric. I understand before, when you are intelligent in the class, when you are smart, they can make you to skip the classes, but not 3 classes.
Yeah, no, we're being scammed, guys. What was really suspicious was that this very Dr. Matthews character was actually being called onto various radio stations to do interviews. I'm not going to mention the radios. Dude, I'm not going to mention the radio stations, but he was doing interviews. So he really built up this credibility and it seemed like a real thing, only to find out
he's a liar.
Hey,
10 past 4.
10 past 4, the house is falling. This guy's scamming everyone. He's been officially banned off of TikTok.
Yeah,
I think
they banned him yesterday. I
I
was watching Babaji when they banned him. My heart was so broken because this young kid, I don't want this kid to kill himself. He's still young. I know if you want to be a doctor, he can just he's 22,
22. He's very young.
And he just bought the car on Monday, Babaji. A Range Rover. Just imagine, he bought like a big car, the Ford, I think. He bought the car on Monday. He was posting on the TikTok, guys, I just bought the car. Oh my God, my friend, look at this car, is so big. And now, boom, who's going to pay the car?
Listen, Jane, do you think he's going to have to pay for this? Like, he's going to be, are they going to be criminal kind of follow-ups? Because you can't impersonate a doctor. I mean, it's very
I think there's charges that they have to charge with him with. But if it was me, Babaji bought the tablets and he lie and say those tablets, they're gonna, like, I'm gonna lose my my belly fat. I was gonna just, you know what? I was gonna, press the charges.
It's giving Herbalife.
Yeah.
But good luck to him. I just hope that this is a lesson for all people that use social media. You have to be responsible with using social media. You can't just like make up this lie and this facade and just pretend like you can just proceed with your life.
I mean, Rianette, you also know this, Lebang, you know this. People do lie on their CVs, but you can't lie about being a doctor. You think no one's going to find out, right?
No, especially when people's lives are at stake. I mean, this is seriously, I think it's infringing many different rules and regulations, not just from a social media point of view, but also from the medical industry point of view. So,
and that's the big thing,
yeah.
To be a doctor is not like a pap and place. You go there for 7 years. When you skip all those classes,
it's not
you skip like you didn't even do matric. They're there for 7 years. When you skip all the classes and say, "Oh, I'm a doctor." So, guys, let's learn to avoid social media. Social media is not for kids. Look at him. If it was not social media, even today, we will say Dr. Matthew is a Dr. Matthew. But because of the social media, people, they started to dig and dig and dig because they started to ask him, "Oh, how old are you? When did you finish matric? And why are you doctor at the age of 21?" Me, I'm still doing my studies. I'm 22. When are you already a doctor? And you say you've been working there for 4 years, for 2 years.
The math wasn't math.
You see,
I see Azalea says in the comments that the HSPCA, that's what the Health Sciences Professions Council or whatever it is, they're actually investigating him now. So that's interesting. And then Jane, didn't he also, in order to make people think he was a doctor, Tracy says he wore a stethoscope around his neck the whole time,
in
right?
every single video. all the time there's a stethoscope, just to show you that this truly is an act. I mean,
Yeah.
when you go to the doctor, he doesn't always have the stethoscope on, but this kid really went out of his way. He's like, I'm going to show them that I'm real. And now look, sadly, he's on hot water, and I feel very bad for him because
even me,
he's sick.
I'm so scared because like sometimes he's still young. People, let's hope he's not gonna try to commit suicide, because I know when it's tough like this, people they try to take their life because they can't handle all social media thing. Like you can't even go outside now. Like yesterday, they banned him. TikTok banned
He
him
should
while
have
he was
thought
like,
of that before he decided to come onto social media
Yeah.
and lie to everyone. I mean, the red flags were there. There was like a video where he was
Yeah.
talking about Savannah and how drinking Savannah makes you this, that. It's been a joke for the longest time. And in classic South African fashion, we're all going to eat this up and get riled up by it and get consumed and distracted by this nonsense, really.
That's what I just wanted to say is what are we listening and watching?
Exactly.
And giving our time and attention
Yeah.
to, and trusting someone that is just saying something online. We need to do our own due diligence.
What about those people who drink the tablets? What is in your mind? Or what is in your mind right now when you know that you drink those tablets, and when you see the barcode is 1, 2, 3?
Jane, did you think he was bullshit from the start?
He was lying to everyone. Actually, he's a scammer. You see, he was trying to be famous on TikTok. He was trying to convince people that, you know what, I'm a doctor, I study admits, you know what, I skipped classes, I did this, I did that. Look at me now, I'm a doctor. Who are you? And people, when they respond to him on TikTok, he was like fighting them. He went, oh my God, I'm a doctor. What are you doing? Don't even bother to ask me those questions.
You have a pretty good intuition about these people. I know when sometimes people have come into our office or they've worked for us for a while. If Jane thinks you're suspect, she's usually right.
She's a good judge of character, yeah.
Yeah.
You are.
Yeah. But that one, you know what? I started to suspect him when he started to say, I skipped grade 2, I skipped grade 6, I skipped grade 8. How can you skip all of those classes? You can't skip, you skip only one classes. At the age of 16, you're already at university, doing your second year, third year. At the age of 20.
There's no one better to have to tell us this stuff than you. I didn't know this story until Jane told us about it. So thank you, Mum Jane. I know you've got a lot to do. You've got a busy day ahead. Thank you for coming in early just so that you could talk to us about Dr. Matthew. People have got to know, and now they know. So thank you. Thanks, Mum
Let's
Jane.
just pray for him. Thank you.
Amen.
I do think that's sweet of Jane to remember that, like a lot of these people, they then get into depression and they hurt themselves.
Yeah. And
They've
they
suddenly,
kids.
they've bitten off more than they could chew on social media. You see, this is the ugly side. And Rianette, maybe this is where we can start, because I know we've got a lot to cover with you this morning. And I'm sure Lebang has got plenty of questions for you too, especially when it comes to being a parent and devices and the internet and what you have to let your kids do, not do, or what you could prevent them from seeing, that all that stuff. But let's just start off with social media. I mean, this is still something we're figuring out. It's in the story of humanity. This is a totally new thing, and it's only been around, maybe 20 years. So we're still getting our heads around it. People want to be famous online. There's a way to make money through social media. A lot of people are throwing their heart and soul into content creators. But the ugly side of that is that when it goes wrong, like it has for this Dr. Matthew, you get suicide, you get people who feel like their whole life is ruined.
Yeah.
Their reputation goes down the toilet. They feel like it really is the end of the universe for them.
Because it is their universe. And sometimes nowadays, especially young people, struggle to distinguish between their real identity and their online identity. And look, that's why I started to speak about cyber wellness and not only about cyber safety, because our digital and physical lives have become so intertwined.
Sure.
There is no way to have, separate lives anymore. And it's really exciting. But you're right, Gareth. It's an ever evolving issue and challenge, because the moment we feel like, oh, okay, we got on top of this one, there's a new app or there's a new syndicate or there's a new trend, and it's all up to the humans. They make it difficult. And you're right. And I'm glad that the really big challenge, and I want to say this is where my journey started when I heard of young people who commit suicide because of
Yeah.
cyberbullying. Now, of course, it's got far wider, complications. And in this case, with this doctor, I mean, I've helped through Safety Net so many influencers and celebrities when they got hacked or they get in cyber trouble. And it seriously is devastating. And some people don't know where to then draw the line and to get help. But we have to stay on top of it. But Gareth, I want to say that the good thing is that my experience with the different platforms, is that they really try to get those policies in place and to protect and to stay on top of it, while humans are giving more challenges on a daily basis.
Rianette, what part of your experience in the PR and comms world would you say adds to the work that you do now? Because when you look at it on paper, it's kind of it's a different world in the sense of traditionally PR and comms is just that, where social media is kind of the new era of that. What did you take from your experience there, and how did you use that to almost assist you in the work that you're doing now?
I'm so thankful for every single stepping stone in our careers. And I just want to mention that, sometimes you do like a menial job, or you think like, oh, what does this have to do with anything? This is boring, or this doesn't feel significant enough. However, when you get to another place, you're like, okay, great, I can use that skill now.
Sure.
So my background in communications and public relations was so wonderful. When I started Safety Net, it helped me to get the brand on the map. As a spokesperson, I knew how to deal with the media and so forth. And then moving into like your question, yes, communications has taken on a very different, not role, but dynamic. Because in the past, we could actually manage and, I want to say, secure the messages. But now there's a doctor or there's a scam artist, whoever, and they get it right to change our perceptions. They have actually changed so many people's perceptions. They got their trust and so forth that we had to do skillfully in the past. So now, yes, we have to, in terms of communication and thinking of bigger brands and from a strategy point of view, it's so difficult. It's a challenge, but it is possible to manage and to look at the social commentary and how they are actually driving the messaging.
Yeah.
But thankfully, there are people who will stand up for the truth. Like in this case, the university coming out and saying, no, or this is not true. So, but I'm really thankful for that. So I think one message is that we should never underestimate or think ill of what we're doing now, because it will definitely help us in the future.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's a good life lesson for all of us. But you wrote a book especially about parenting, so raising a screen savvy child, and I think this is where I'm going to let Lebang have the floor, because it must be so tough, Lebang. I mean, like you want your kid to grow up. We even spoke with Graham Watkins about this yesterday. In fact, there's so many guests who have kids who come in and we end up talking about this. Like, you want your kid to be tech savvy, right? You don't want them to be a Luddite. All their friends are already on devices. These screens are just part of learning now. It's your main interface with the information that is out there in the world. This is where you go. You don't walk to the library. You go online. And
exactly.
If your kid isn't comfortable or capable on these devices, it is going to set them back. But the obvious flip side of that is you can't have your child glued to a screen all day. It's probably going to turn them into a terrible person one day.
Sure. I think also, Gareth, we forget that these kids are growing up in a world where for them, this is the norm. For them, screens are normal. TV, laptop, tablet, phone. For us, it was a lot simpler. We had human interaction every day. We had books. For them, this is their world. So definitely there's a lot of more pressure on parents to figure out how to maneuver this thing, because as the kids are figuring out what these screens mean and how this information can affect their lives, as parents, we're also trying to figure out how can we better manage this whole process for our kids without almost turning them into, kids that are completely offline because they at some point they have to be on, their friends are there, they want to WhatsApp, they want to blah blah blah. And some of the schools where most of my kids are, they have to have devices. It's compulsory. They don't have books as much. They literally doing everything on their tablet. So I think the scariest thing is, how do we start with managing? Like, as a parent, where's the first place to go? I mean, I've personally tried a couple of things. There's apps that I use to monitor usage, blah, blah, blah. But you cannot sit with your child every single moment with them while they're using this device.
Yeah.
So where do you start?
Well, we start with a values-driven conversation, because if we can just get our children to feel safe, loved, and that they belong in our own homes and in their environments, and that they feel accepted, then it already helps to build that trust relationship, because we always want them to feel like we are protecting, we're not restricting them. But it starts from the moment we give them their first device. And just before I forget, Lebang, you know what irritates me is that children get bullied because of the type of device they have, as if they are paying for it, you know. Like they've got so much pressure in terms of not just like in the old days we were like, oh, you look at your shoes or whatever. Now it is the type of device, and we're talking thousands here. So as a parent, first of all, your relationship, that's your biggest key. When it comes to more of a technical aspect and looking at the cyber safety side, look at your physical environment, every single device, and you might be surprised as to how many devices you actually have in your home, like from smartwatches to TVs to, you know, laptops and tablets and so forth. And many people have more than one phone. So look at those devices and look at the settings and select the child-friendly settings on those devices. Even for you as an adult, it's actually nice to protect yourself. And then set your boundaries. Please, parents need to be parents. We can't be intimidated by our children.
But like, it's so easy to say. Like, Rianette, there's definitely times where I've just found myself like, let me just give the kid what they want because I'm not winning this battle. Like, you know how kids can be. Like, if they're really pushy or they really want their way, you just want to give the kid what they want. And it just kind of gets easy to be like, okay, fine, you can have an extra 2 hours of screen time. It's okay. Which I know in the long run is probably definitely wrong. But definitely it's not as easy to actually implement within the household. And even as far as just creating that sort of relationship where the child is comfortable and you guys are cool, when it comes to devices, it is sometimes a battle. You know, because I've got very young kids on one end who just want to be on their tablets all the time, because for them, their world is just tablets. And that's where all the information comes from. So it definitely does get a bit more difficult when it comes to reprimanding, when it comes to almost, you don't want to see your child cry, basically, is what I'm saying.
You may see them cry, Lebang. You may, and they may cry, and they need to see that they don't know better. And if we don't show them what they're missing out on, while they're just playing on their tablets and phones and games and so forth, we have to remind them. Look, what I'm seeing when I'm speaking at schools is confusion. Super confused children.
Sure.
They don't know who to believe. And the problem with that is that if we at home don't tell them, this is the line. My line might be different than yours, but this is the line. In our house, we treat people with respect. We don't lie. The values-driven conversation. Then you take that to the online world. Then, first of all, it will help us to have more responsible digital citizens. But secondly, when they get bombarded by the social media voices, the kids at school, and lots of different issues, moral issues that they are faced with. I mean, my son, I'm in it with you. My son is in high school, and the conversations we've had with him in his short life, I mean, I never ever dreamt of having such conversations and those topics with my son now at this stage. They are harsh and real, and some of them are really upsetting, but that's what they get exposed to. So if you and us as parents don't help them to know, okay, this is the line, then they don't know where to go, and they're kind of confused. So that's so important. You may be the parent, and we need parents to be parents.
Of course. There's definitely like a responsibility that we have, but also there's a responsibility that the school has. Because if you think about it technically, how many hours in a day are our kids spending in the schools? It's a long time. So they're obviously getting influenced by what's happening in there, the other kids that are there. But the schools themselves obviously have to play some sort of role as far as aligning with the parents in the household, as far as guiding the kids, as far as, making that line very clear. But I mean, there are situations that get a little bit out of control. So, for example, and it's actually ironic that I'm chatting to you today, because just last week, a friend of mine was telling me about a situation where her child is actually at a school, and one of the students actually sent nudes to one of her boyfriends, and those nudes got leaked to kids in other schools, and it just became a mess. But now, because this is happening in the schools, obviously it's disruptive. What responsibilities does the school then play in such a situation? You can't just kind of leave it all to the parents. At some point, the school needs to put up their hands and say, okay, it's our turn. We'll take it from here.
Yeah, very valid question. And there's like three very important things that I want to unpack there. Gareth, I just want to ask, it seemed like you wanted to add something to the previous comment.
Can I say this? I'm pleased that that Lebang brought this up, because I was going to ask you about, what's happening in terms of these kinds of things that kids. A teacher can't be everywhere at once.
Sure.
There just aren't enough people to monitor all of these devices and know what the kids are doing and what they're up to. And also, there are laws around privacy and personal information, and there are laws that prevent, people from passing around. First of all, it's illegal to do that with anyone's pictures below a certain age. But entirely apart from that, like, there's the revenge porn stuff too, which is a major thing. So I'm interested in your answer to Lebang's question about, like, these kids who are passing around nudes, and then this can be devastating to a young girl or young guy.
Yes, it is devastating, and I wish they would learn, because this is not the first time it's happened. But let's start with the school and their responsibility. First of all, it is not their responsibility to look at and help our children to be safe online. They are playing an integral role in helping us to teach children about good digital habits and digital literacy. And I personally have been involved in various projects where we've, created material for them. There's wonderful projects going on. So it's, besides the fact that it's not their responsibility, they do, though, have a responsibility if they are supplying internet connection, and to have a policy in place, a social media policy, internet usage policy, cell phone usage policy, and so forth. And we as parents have to understand what it says, and we have to sign it. That's the thing. And they need to also update it every year and make sure that the children understand, especially high school, because at the high school level, besides the sexting and so forth, they also create accounts in the name of the school and start, posting things that are really defaming and so forth. But so the schools are, in my opinion, and after almost 10 years working with schools, is that they really worked with us. They want to help, and they are usually the ones in the middle when there is a situation like this one, where they need to reach out to parents and say, please, can you be the parents again and get your children to understand what's right and what's wrong to do online. And again, when it happens on their device, who owns the device? And that's the thing with cyberbullying as well, is it's not happening on the playground. If it's happening there, then it's a different story, and there's disciplinary hearings and so forth. But when it happens on the device that you own or your child owns, then there's other rules, and it becomes more challenging. But thankfully, schools are really working together. And even like FEDSAS, the Federation of South African School Governing Bodies, they do so much work to help schools to become more literate, digital literacy, and rolling out those projects and so forth. So there's a lot being done, but we need to work with schools. And thankfully, like my experience with principals and heads of disciplinary or discipline and so forth, they go the extra mile.
Rianette, what about, the differences between the ways that bullying used to happen in our time, also the way that girls and boys are different about this? Like, there's a very different kind of nastiness that happens. We've spoken about it a few times on the show. The way that this stuff follows you home. It's not, you can't just leave it at school and carry on with your life. it's not always physical, it's
Mm.
emotional. It can impact on you in a much broader, wider way. Do you have any comments on that? Because many of us kind of have the idea that bullying is just one of the, big stupid kids at school being mean to one of the more
Mm.
vulnerable children. But that's not how it works at all.
Yeah, and unfortunately, with the online world, it can reoccur. Like you can have this incident. Look, first of all, there are different types of cyberbullying. And if we look at one, for instance, being exclusion, it's that typical thing where you've got your group, they create a WhatsApp, but they don't include you. And everyone's laughing the next morning about the videos and the this and the that in the chats, and you have no idea what they're talking about. So that's the exclusion part. And if your child doesn't have that feeling of, you know what, it's okay, I know who I am, I know what where my identity is grounded in, and then I'm fine, then that's devastating to them. So, and then of course you get the others where it's trickery and where people have fake profiles and so forth. The problem with cyberbullying is that sometimes they wait to see what will happen, and it continues for a long time before they actually tell someone. And by then they feel really, depending on the type of cyberbullying, it's rejection, it's depression, it's humiliation. And at school level, because it spreads so fast, let's say it's a photo or an embarrassing moment that was passed around, they really feel like their world is falling apart because they get then thrown off the groups and being unfollowed. They are ghosted and cancelled. And that is very so devastating. And that's why I still remind parents that look at your children, before I forget to say it later, one big thing that I really want people to do, it's a challenge, is to have digital-free dinners. And I know it's a challenge. Like when I ask, put up your hands, who's willing to do it? Not everyone does, because that's like too much to ask. But that's where we can have connection, where we can look each other in the eye and see what's going on with our children. So Gareth, the thing with cyberbullying, it continues. I really became like so, I want to say deflated at some stage, because in the beginning of my journey back in 2014, this is why I started, because I learned about cyberbullying. And I thought, we won't win this battle, we won't win this war, but we can win battles with every child and every person, not just children, but every person who can understand that their value is not determined by what is being said online. And that moment will pass. It will go away. Tomorrow, someone else will be the one that everyone's speaking about.
It's a lot. Rianette, when I think about the use of like the internet and how there's so many changes, I feel like there's like really big hitters, right? There's big players in this. There's Google, there's Microsoft, there's Meta. These are like the big dogs that we're essentially just trusting to lead us and to create this exciting internet for us. We're not sitting here suspecting them of anything and saying, they're part of the problem or whatever. Like, we're just hoping that they're doing the right thing. But what part are they playing in protecting our kids from exposure to every and any little thing? I mean, are they on the side of good, or are they on the side of just this is just a business and it's money making for them and they don't really care? Or like, can we trust them in the way that, we ideally want to, because it's a big job that they are playing?
And keeping kids addicted to screens while they're young ensures that they will be there when they're older, and that's their business model.
Exactly.
Yeah. So when we buy a car, we look at the specs and we insure and we trust that those airbags are there and, the safety features are real. But we are the drivers. We decide which road we go on. Are we intoxicated? Are we following the rules? Are we doing things that are illegal? And I want to say the same applies online. We need to stay in charge of our own digital habits, every person. So before we talk about these players, we can keep them accountable, but we need to stay responsible, because it's my time. It's my time that I spend an hour before I go to bed, sitting in bed, looking at a screen instead of spending time with my husband or my loved ones or going for a jog or whatever it is. We need to take control of our own digital habits. Talking about these big players, I get really excited about this specific question, because I see what they do in the background. Yes, They have platforms. They have businesses. They run those businesses. It's based on algorithms. It's based on our time. It's, like our eyes are locked on the screens, and all of us are benefiting from it. Every single influencer, us now, using platforms and so forth. So we are all benefiting from it. And what I can say from my experience working with these brands and sitting around the table with them is they listen to feedback. For instance, Meta, we've had numerous roundtable discussions where we give feedback from people like me, what we experience in the market, like when I help cybercrime victims, what I'm seeing happening. They listen. The next time I see them, they've updated their policies. They do a lot. And I want to encourage everyone to go and look at their platforms, look at their community rules. And they've got so many wonderful videos, tip sheets from parents right through to every type of user. For instance, Google, they've got Be Internet Awesome and Interland. It's fascinating. It's built for children as well. It's built for teachers, families. They've got wonderful tools for us to go and look at. Microsoft. I've written articles for Microsoft Cybersecurity Hub. There's just a myriad of information. Meta, recently when I spoke at the Youth Summit, they announced for Instagram, for instance, so many new tools that you can protect yourself or that you can use to protect yourself. Even the time you spend online, how you are or how other people get access to you. But sometimes we don't go and look at these tools that they offer us. The same with, there's so many books. I've got my book and there's hundreds of others. And of course, the Kaspersky's of the world. So they really do their best to protect us, to give the community guidelines, the terms and conditions.
Because you've been at this for such a long time. It's more than a decade now. And do you think we're getting better at it? At being as exposed to these risks, these hacks, these scams, dangerous people, dangerous ideas? Are we getting any better, or is it still like the Wild West out there?
Gareth, I'm sorry to say it's still like the Wild West. The good thing, though, is that 2014, when I started, people were not really listening. They were like, it won't happen to me. What? Cyberbullying? No, thanks. It's not relevant in our house. So now people are finally seeing this is real and it can affect anyone and everyone. The Wild West out there, it's still heartbreaking when I get a phone call from a father on a Friday afternoon saying his child is being held ransom because he shared nudes. And now if he doesn't pay this amount, by 4:00, they're going to share his photos online. And I'm talking about a child in a private school. So he should know better. And I saw one comment earlier about, having experts like myself speaking at schools. We do. Schools do their part to let kids know. Or you get the retired woman who fell in love on online dating sites. And now she's lost her life savings. And the story is so real. I mean, the doctor that we spoke about, the doctor we spoke about earlier, there are many such cases. In this case, this woman actually lost her life savings and she's devastated in a different level. Or, there's just so many stories I can tell you. And it still breaks my heart to see the Wild West. And I wish people would just be more vigilant before you click on that link. We all know these things. But just 2 weeks ago, a good friend of mine who's really tech savvy got fooled by a girl online who is a mom. She just needs airtime. Then she needed petrol, then this and that. And then she was, using sextortion as a method to intimidate him. And he knows better. And I was like, listen, if you can fall for it, can you imagine children? And if you didn't sleep, can you imagine how someone who's like younger?
Hey, I'll tell you what, all you have to do, you just have to find someone's vulnerability. If they are desperate for love, then you use love. If they're desperate for sex, you use sex. If they're desperate for money, you use money. I mean, anything that looks too good to be true online is probably too good to be true. And nobody, it doesn't matter how clever, like everybody always goes, oh, I can't believe you're so stupid you fell for that. Until you fall for it, then you suddenly like,
exactly.
Now I get it. Now I understand.
And also, we're oversharing so much of our information, so much of our personal lives, we just think we're casually sharing this funny post and commenting on it. There's somebody out there watching your every move, your
Exactly.
every tweet, if it's still called tweets, your everything you like, everything you repost. They are just watching, waiting for you to crumble so that they can just slide on in and catch you while you're sleeping.
So the thing is, we need to remember if it happens to you,
Mm.
because most of us will step in that trap.
Yeah.
Let's remember, first of all, the syndicates are brilliant. Some of
Mm.
these people spend their lives just like you have your art and you are perfecting this. They have perfected the way to manipulate, to pull strings, to know how to put pressure, time pressure, etc. So people step in the trap. Don't blame yourself and don't feel guilty and don't spend too much time there. Find help. Take the relevant steps to protect yourself, and sometimes it will take long. Sometimes some of it means identity theft, for instance, financial things that happen, and the negative impact might have a long-lasting ripple effect. But don't get stuck in the problem. Don't blame yourself. Rather be informed and don't do it again, and let other people know about that scam. The one thing that I'm quite annoyed by is so many people and companies who go through cyber crime or cyber safety issues, they want to sort out the issue, but then they don't take it further. And I'm like, let's catch these criminals. Let's find these syndicates, the ones who are they're not just taking one woman's life savings. This profile they've built of this businessman living across the waters and this and that. That person is currently busy with 3 and 5 or 50 other people. Let's find them. It's a battle, and we each need to take responsibility. And while I say that, especially now with, there's so much going on in the news, but think before you post something or share something. Fake news is a real big deal.
And you only get one chance to. I mean, like you could do a million posts, right? You could have posted everything you posted was fantastic and people love you and you're like one of the most popular and trusted sources on the internet. You post one bullshit thing and suddenly your entire reputation's ruined.
Sure.
Yeah, I think this is something I said in the film, the public figure film. We expect a lot from these influencers. And yes, the moment you step onto any platform, take responsibility for every single word you say. But as followers of those people, let's give them a break. Let's remember they are human. Let's maybe think about what we're expecting of them. And we all make mistakes. They just do it on a public platform. And yes, there's a responsibility side, but then also we need to just be gracious and kind and give them a second chance. I mean, the cancel culture is...
Sure.
I almost don't have words. Like, who do you think you are that you think you've got the right to just cancel someone? No, you can say you cancel them. They still exist for a reason and a purpose.
It's so dangerous. There's this new term that the kids are using. It's called unalive, because I think TikTok has banned the term like go kill yourself and things like, go die. So they've literally created a term called unalive. They literally tell you go and unalive yourself.
Yeah.
That's how much the hatred can get spread. Gareth, it's so bad, dude. It's like, it actually scares me so much when I think about how entitled these irresponsible users of social media are. And for most of them, they just don't know any better. There's just like a bunch of kids doing whatever they want. And luckily, we have people like Rianette who are so passionate about this and is clearly, given her life to this because this is important work. So Rianette, what I want to know is like, what is your core message, to the audience, to somebody listening, whether it's a parent or just a general user of the digital landscape, considering cyber wellness, online safety. What is that thing that we must take away today after listening to you and we must say, yeah, no, Rianette said this and this is what I'm going to carry with me?
I would like to say take charge of your own time and your own digital habits. Reevaluate from the moment you wake up how much time you spend on your screen. And screen time is not wasted time. We all spend and we have to spend time on screens. Like most of my day is on a screen as well. But what do we spend it on? Let's remember the humans, our animals, our fluffy friends and family members. And let's also consider the impact it has on our hearts and our minds. We have to protect ourselves. The algorithms are there for a reason, and we can also manipulate the algorithms. So you can take control, number one. Number two, something I've said for so many years, and it's part of the safety net logo, is your fingerprint. This tiny part of your body, your fingertip, is what we use to, it's our fingerprint we use to create our digital footprint. And every time we touch that screen, there will be a consequence and a ripple effect. Whether you click on a link to a website, or you like something, you share something, you retweet, or whatever you do with your fingertip is actually in the digital realm creating that ripple effect, which will come back in algorithms and influence you and will influence other people. So let's be responsible with our fingertips and think about ways to bring light to the dark side of the web. We can stand up for that person who's being cyberbullied, or we can say, listen, I verified the information on this post and it's actually from 5 years ago. It's not correct. It's fake. We can stand up without being rude, without, something that got me again this week is you read comments. There's someone saying something in their post. Then there's the comments. After a while, people are like fist fighting each other in the comment section. Why? I mean, don't do that. Stand up for the person who's being, then attacked. So take your light online. And I believe that if we become more cyber savvy, we will be safer. The internet can be a safer place. And working with big brands and collaborating with people and families and so forth, I truly believe that each person who waits before they click, who waits before they record the scene happening in a restaurant and then go post it on social media. Think about the ripple effect before you do that. So if I can get that right, if people can just be like, wait before I touch that screen, let me think about what I am doing with my fingerprints.
And you talk about business and big business and all the rest of it. Listen, they're all so terrified of putting a foot wrong or getting it wrong or getting into trouble for something or being drawn into a controversy that very often they don't do the right thing. They'll hang an employee out to dry. They'll turn HR onto them. Just because a person was at the wrong place at the wrong time, for example. So I don't think that the HR departments or the PR departments of a company are your friends either. Their whole job is to protect the company. They don't give a damn about you.
Well, there's the company policy that should be in place in terms of what you do and share online. And just to be clear, Gareth, are you talking about, someone going online saying something and then the company, fires them because of that?
Well, I mean, listen, there are company policies, and I get that. We have to have company policies because otherwise people do whatever they want, and that can be very, very dangerous too. You can't have your employees, for example, I don't know, going on and practicing hate speech or, joining up with some organization that is, I don't know, child sex ring or an arms dealing business or whatever. That's very bad for the company reputation. And people know when they sign up, when they join a company, this is what I'm agreeing to, this is what I'm not agreeing to. But very often in someone's spare time in their private life, there will be something that they share online or whatever. They just share, let's say they share a joke, which the company finds, someone in the HR department finds it to be unacceptable, or it just goes against their political grain or whatever. That company's not going to use that as a listen, by the way, we'd prefer if you didn't do that. If someone really doesn't like them in that company, it doesn't matter how important they are, they'll get rid of them. They'll use it as an excuse to get rid of them. It's just another way they can fire people. That's all.
Yeah, it's scary when you look at it. And isn't it then funny? Not funny is not the right word. I'm sorry, I don't actually know the right word. You can help me with this one. But it's someone with a position, status, and they have added value to that company and that business, and they make one wrong move, and then this happens to them. So yes, it comes back to we all have some power, a level of power in our hands, and how will we use it? And from a public relations point of view, yes, we need to be very strategic about and responsible again about how the messaging is shared and how the company's positioned. And ultimately, yes, you're right. I think you're right, Gareth. At the end of the day, they are employed to look after the company's reputation, which
Sure.
is something that is that I've been, doing a lot of, and that is risk management and reputation management, because companies and people, their brands are being impacted negatively, and then that crisis communication
Well,
that you go
It
into.
is, but it isn't, because we also know, Rianette, and this is where you've got to keep a level head about this. You
Yes.
might disagree with me, but if you do agree with me, then please indicate that too. Like,
Okay.
we all know the biggest controversy on social media, whatever it might be, and I've been through a few of these. I'm sure you've watched
Yes.
many of them. 5-7 days later, it's all gone. No damage done. Everybody's moved on, forgotten, done and dusted.
Is it though for the person who was in the limelight? Is it gone and done and dusted, or do you need to pick up some pieces and put them back together?
No. What I'm worried about here is that people panic because they're now the risk manager for a company or something, and they're like, "Oh, we've got to do something." Instead of,
Okay, I'm
well,
with you.
like, let's say some controversy is broken out. There's some product that is on the shelf that apparently hasn't been tested for this, or it's been tested on animals or whatever. They completely overreact. They start putting out apologies. They start putting in like all kinds of company statements. They release videos. They get their influencers all fired up. And meanwhile, if they
could have
just shut up, it would have just moved along and nobody would have cared.
It's the pressure.
Yes, it is. And these hashtag moments that become hashtag movements. Yes, and then companies react. And that's why it's such it's a very, very intricate, difficult thing to manage. And in terms of that crisis communication point of view, what do you say? When do you say it? Yeah, like you say, I agree with you. Sometimes rather wait for the storm to pass and then make a statement if needed. And look at the different stakeholders. I mean, this is communication 101. Look at the stakeholders. What's the best medium to communicate and when? So, yeah, sometimes I do think, especially when you look at one person saying something that they feel strongly about, and then all of a sudden there's an explosion. It's like, no.
Not everything needs a reaction.
Exactly.
It's like, let it slide.
Yes, Lebang. And sometimes if we really go into this, and there's no more time talking about this, but it's the minority who creates that tiny little flame, that spark, and they create that hashtag, and then all of a sudden everyone thinks they need to spend time on this bandwagon.
Oh yeah.
Meantime, it's the minority.
And can I tell you something else while we're on this, just to wrap it up? Because I also think companies would be well advised to just do what they were there to do in the first place. You're in business. Sell socks or make devices or give people information or whatever. You don't have to comment on every political hashtag that's going on. You don't have to be a trending, because a lot of these people are employed in order to make sure that they reputationally manage the company or whatever else. But so often they're also chasing clout. They're like they want a trend. They want to hand in a social media report that says, look how many people, how many eyeballs we reached today with our stupid ad that nobody likes. But they think that because that ad reached a lot of people, it's great success. The obverse of that, like we keep the whole way through this conversation, I feel like we've looked at one side and the other side of the coin, which is healthy. The other side of that coin is you're going to get flack sometimes. In other words, if you're stupid enough to think you will always get positive publicity, you should not be in the marketing business. You should not be in PR.
All. Yeah,
You're an idiot. Because at some point, if you're getting lots of positive attention, guess what? You're going to get lots of negatives. You got to ride that storm out too.
And the wonderful thing about it is you're getting attention. So what do you do with it, and how are you going to manage it? And also, and I saw one comment, some companies like to jump on the trend and become part of the trend, and then it backfires. And then they need to sweep later to make sure that they actually, all the lost loyal customers and followers that they lose. So yeah, this is fascinating, and I mean, there's so many elements to this.
So you think you've lost them, but we also live in this era of where everything is counted now because we have data on everything. So suddenly we're paranoid because like 10 people disliked our ad. So now we've got to sit in a marketing research group for like 3 days and
rethink the whole campaign because 10 people.
Those 10 people gave it the thumbs down. So we really messed up here, guys. It's like, please, do you think 20 years ago when they were doing ad campaigns that probably worked much better, they were worrying about the 10 people that they didn't know didn't like it? No, of course not. Anyway, Rianette, listen, this is fantastic. And we've gone in all kinds of directions here. I knew we would. But it's lovely to see you again. And we can find you at rianette.com. She has a book called Raising a Screen Savvy Child. She's done many talks. You can find out more from Rianette. Go along to her website, check it out. And if you need more information, ask her about it, because you can't be silly about these things. You can't be naive. And nice to have you on the show again.
Thank you for your time and for having me. It was fantastic. And thanks for, I just want to give a quick shout out to CliffCentral, because from the beginning of my journey, you were there and we've been part of it. And, you know, it is because of platforms like yours that we can actually raise awareness. And hopefully everyone found some value today, and that we can travel safely in cyberspace and shine our light brightly.
Beautiful. And it is Cybersecurity Awareness Month. So be very aware and vigilant, and don't be silly. Don't make dumb mistakes. None of us are above it. You think, oh, it'll never happen to me, but
until it does.
Good. Right. Thanks, Lebang. Thank you, Rianette. We will see you tomorrow at 6 a.m. Everybody, bye-bye.